Bill Panoff here with Porthole Cruise and Travel Magazine. An exciting week last week as Norwegian Cruise Line makes its great cruise comeback with its first U.S. sailing. And there were quite a few firsts on this trip. But before I say too much, joining me today to talk about it firsthand is the president and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line, Harry Sommer. Harry, how are you? Welcome back.
It was so great to be on that cruise last week, Bill, and so great to spend some time with you. It was a fantastic vacation.
I can imagine. Norwegian recently made its return debut in Alaska, which I think you were on board the ship, the Norwegian Encore, to Icy Straight Point. And the Norwegian Encore was not only the first in the industry to berth at this new wilderness landing pier at Icy Straight Point. We actually have a picture of you cutting the ribbon at the new pier. It looked amazing.
It really was a monumental achievement. You know, we've been planning this the pier and the surrounding area for a number of years now, and it really came together beautifully. I was thrilled that despite the logistical challenges caused by COVID, we were still able to get the pier ready and open on time for our first call of this year last week. And the guests really seemed to enjoy it. You know, we've done so many great things there. You know, we sort of challenged ourselves to look at the port development process a little bit different. And here, we had sort of three core principles. One, that we wanted to partner with the local community. And in this case, it was with the native Alaska community. Number two is that we wanted to do something that was authentic and real, not just create another, waterfront with a bunch of jewelry stores, but actually do something that was true to the heritage of the area. And number three, to do something that was environmentally friendly. And I got to tell you, this has gone on all three fronts, has been remarkably well. The CEO, I'm sure you saw of the company that we partnered with, the Huda Totem Company, Russell, was there with us on the cruise, and he was there with us to open up the port. What a great guy he is! I hope he's listening. It's authentic in that we didn't build out a whole little downtown. We let the scenery and beauty of Alaska be the front star. I mean, the mountains and the whale watching and the kayaking, fishing, everything there is just fantastic, just what you'd expect.
No, it is real. I've actually been there firsthand, and it is authentic Alaska. It doesn't get any more authentic than there. I mean, with the bear watching and just everything is so authentic and left the way it once was. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I did see a bear. And of course, with that new gondola system that we have, we estimated that took 100 buses off the road. And we're really proud of it.
How does it feel to have so many firsts for NCL in one sailing?
I'll tell you, probably in a normal world, we would have spread things out a little bit more, right? But because, we only had half an Alaska season, we sort of have compressed our announcements. But my God, it was as good excuse as any to go. I haven't been in Alaska personally in about 10 years. So it was really great to go there with my family and experience a vacation that was both fantastic and safe.
Sure. So from your perspective, Harry, how did the first sailing really go? And do you feel cruising is on its way back to a full recovery?
I do, Bill. I think that, at NCL, we've really done our best to set the bar. As you know, we require all of our guests to be 100% vaccinated before boarding, as well as our crew. As well as the shore excursion providers that we operate with, so guests can feel safe that they're traveling with other 100% vaccinated individuals. Plus, we require everyone to be fully tested before boarding the ship, and we're testing our crew on a weekly basis on top of that. So, guests can really feel comfortable that they are probably in the safest place in the United States when they go on Alaska cruise. I don't know of any other place that requires mandatory vaccines and testing before entering a facility in the U.S. So you really should feel safe. And I think the guests did. All the guests that were on board, none of them felt compelled to mask for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of handful that did, but I'd say 95% weren't. All the facilities on board the ship were open: the racetrack, the virtual reality center, the laser tag, all the lounges, the 20+ restaurants, everything was open and available. And, it was an interesting thing that we didn't really, go into purposefully, but with the ship only 2/3 full, yet staffed at 100%, the service levels were just outstanding. And I think it showed in the product delivery. We got our guest satisfaction scores, the highest by far. I think we had like a 98% of our guests rated this
Fantastic.
cruise above or far above expectations. And don't get me wrong, we always have high guest satisfaction scores, but these were off the charts.
Well, that's amazing. How did the locals feel about the return of the ship to the ports?
I think if you go back to the three principles I espouse, doing something that's meaningful and authentic, working with local partners, and doing something that's environmentally friendly, that's really the exact same agenda that they have. So,
Sure.
the town of Huna, which borders Icy Straight Point, is about 50% Native Alaskans, and I think they really respect what we've done, what we've partnered with them with those three principles. So they are
Sure.
they are thrilled for us to come back because we're doing it right.
Sure.
And of course, having the guests be safe is an added bonus because no one wants COVID in their community.
Sure. Sure. On a different note, is there great concern about this new strain of the virus, and will it bring cruising back to a halt?
I'd say, Bill, in the short term, that there's some concern. We are, of course, big advocates of vaccinations, and we would wish that the remaining adults, there's tens of millions of adults in this country that are eligible to be vaccinated but aren't,
Sure.
and it's our strong wish to remove politics from this and for everyone to go out and get vaccinated, because we believe that's the right way.
Sure.
I think in the short run, cruises in August, September, October, we're going to continue at reduced occupancies. So the fact that there's probably a little bit less demand with Delta out there is okay for us, but we still continue to be really optimistic for Q1 and beyond. We from everything we hear, and we talk to the members of our Safe Sail panel, which is chaired by the former FDA Commissioner, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, every week.
Sure.
In fact, we just had our call this week on Wednesday night, and they remain optimistic that COVID should peak. Seems to have already in Florida. We've seen a little bit of stabilization of cases here, and in the rest of the country over the next few weeks. And come late September or October, we should be on the other side of this. And Dr. Gottlieb's repeatedly going on record as saying that this should be the last big wave because
Sure.
so many people have either been vaccinated or unfortunately have caught COVID.
Sure. In a giant step forward for Norwegian Cruise Line, you're now permitted to ask guests to show proof of vaccination before boarding the ship, which was a big win for Norwegian, and kudos to Frank Del Rio and yourself and the entire team. That was an amazing initiative.
Thank you, Bill. I have to tell you, I say the same thing to everyone that asks me this or talks to me about this. We have no beef with Governor DeSantis of the state of Florida. The governor has been a huge supporter of the cruise industry.
Sure.
over many years, his entire tenure as governor, and we really appreciate it. We just disagreed with him on this one point.
Sure.
Regarding cruises, I should say.
Sure.
We believe that in order to create the safest possible environment for our guests, we would require full vaccines. Apparently, he and the state legislature did not. We didn't believe that they had the authority under the U.S. Constitution to ban us from asking this for a number of reasons. And fortunately, the judge agreed with us. So we are happy that the legal basis for asking for vaccinations was accepted by the judge. It looks like it won't be an expedited appeal. So it looks like we will be able to do this for many, many, many months to come. And hopefully by the time the appeal is heard sometime next year, this is well behind us.
Well done. Well done. With all the talks of First, one question does come to mind, Harry. Norwegian was one of the first lines to cruise to Havana that was briefly allowed. Do you think Norwegian will return to Cuba once restrictions are lifted?
I sure hope so. We're optimistic. The Biden, President Biden was vice president under Obama when
Sure.
the restrictions were first lifted and seemed to be a supporter of this. So we believe that once COVID is behind us, because obviously, President Biden has other much more important things pressing, and from a geopolitical perspective right
Sure.
now. But we're hoping when we get to the other side of this, sometime in 2022, that this gets addressed. We're ready to go back. We're eager to go back. The ships that we had servicing Havana, unlike some other cruise lines that got rid of some of their older tonnage, the
Sure.
ships that we had servicing Havana were not older tonnage, and they continue to be in our fleet, and they're ready to go. So when this is announced, we would be happy to bring our guests back to see the wonderful people of Cuba.
You mentioned in an interview with Travel Weekly back in 2019 that you were talking to other shipyards about subsequent classes of ships which will exist after Prima series has finished, and part of that discussion is about LNG. Are LNG powered ships the future for the Norwegian fleet?
You know, we continue to talk to other to other shipyards, excuse me, to all the shipyards, not other shipyards, to all the shipyards about the next class of ships. In fact, we just had a meeting about this last night to talk about what comes after Prima. You know, we have 6 ships that come through 2027. So it's amazing then the industry, you have to plan for 2028 now already. It's a very forward-looking business. We're looking at LNG. We're also looking at alternative sources. Too soon to tell whether we're going to where we're going to get with that. But NCLH, the entire company, is committed to reducing our carbon footprint. You know, we continue to work on things to reduce our fuel emissions. We continue to work on emission control devices for the ships to reduce emissions. We continue to look at ways to reduce our carbon footprint. We announced earlier this year that we are partially offsetting our carbon footprint with real carbon credits, not just some pretend one, where we're doing real projects in various places in the world to sort of create a carbon offset, so to speak, for the emissions that we have. So we're committed to moving forward, and we'll continue. This is important to us, Bill, and we're not going to stop until we get to carbon neutral someday. Not today, but we'll get to carbon neutral someday.
Good. Harry, what do you wish more potential cruisers knew about Norwegian Cruise Line and sailing on board your ships?
You know, I'd say 2 things, Bill. First, it's not really that different from before. I think people are a little confused about what they have to go through, travel requirements, testing requirements, form requirements, and things like that, and what the onboard experience is. And other than having to take a COVID test at the pier, the experience is really not that different from before. You know, planes are operating pretty much normally. You just have to wear a mask when you're on them. The cruise ship is operating pretty much normally. I think people are concerned that this is going to be a very complicated or different process, or that it'll be wildly different from before, and none of those things are true. But I'll say, Bill, we're in no rush. We're in no rush to push guests to come back before they're looking to come back. And if guests aren't comfortable coming back now, we are thrilled for them to book our cruises in 22. We have cruises open in 23. We even have a handful of cruises open in 24. We are happy for guests to book cruises in the future when they feel safe traveling. We are in no rush to fill our ships. We will continue at reduced occupancy for the foreseeable future in order to provide guests with the best and safest possible experience.
In closing, Harry, what secret spots or underused amenities do most people miss out when cruising on your ships?
I really love the observation lounges in the front of the ship. We have one observation lounge for our Haven guests on deck 17, and we have a very large observation lounge that's for all guests on deck 15 on the Encore, and we have similar lounges on the Bliss and the Joy. And those are just such beautiful places, no noise, no loud activities happening, no game shows, where guests can just simply come and enjoy beautiful views and scenery and really have a great vacation. And I encourage more of our guests, without overrunning the place, of course, because then it wouldn't be quiet and serene anymore, to come and enjoy those spaces and really have, some quiet time on their cruises.
Got it. Harry Sommer, President and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and thrilled about the restart and relaunch of Norwegian to consumers, so they can enjoy once again all the amenities and everything that Norwegian has to offer. I'm Bill Panoff with Porthole Cruise and Travel Magazine.
Thank you, Bill. It was great to be here.